Some go. Hey guys, welcome to Table for Two at Tef's Tavern. Here we are. We're starting a podcast to talk about life, RPGs, and who knows? We haven't really planned it out that well. So, with me today, I have Andy with Burn Your Dice.
Hello.
And I also, luckily, have sitting with me Nat, the creator of Helheim Unbound, a new RPG that's going to be gracing our wonderful hobby in the near future.
Morning,
And
thank you.
Nat, I've been on your Kickstarter. We're going to go ahead and link that in the podcast description so everyone can get their hands on what I'm looking at here, and that is the quick start that you've released, the PDF. It's really quite interesting. It looks like a lot of things that I have kind of been interested in, but never quite seen in an RPG before. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what's the defining difference in Helheim Unbound?
Yeah, so I think the biggest difference is simplicity. That was really our target. We started a long time ago, actually, as a skirmish mini war game. And then just as we were playing in the office, we didn't have a lot of space for all the miniatures, became a role-playing game. But we were trying to keep everything to that simple moment of something that's easy to pick up, easy to learn, easy to play, and then just having a whole heck of a lot of fun doing it.
Nice for sure. And it looks like it's kind of a dice pool type system.
Yes. So dice pool, you basically start with your character's skill, and then you add in what we call benefits and hindrances.
Cool.
And so that would be benefits, which can also, of course, be a hindrance in some circumstances, would be things like traits. So if you're exceptionally strong and you're trying to break down a door, it gives you some extra dice in the pool.
Neat. Yeah, so cool. I mean, I've played a little bit of Ubiquity in like Hollow Earth Expedition. I don't know if you're familiar. And it's kind of just an interesting take with failures and successes on this handful of dice you get to roll. Because really, that comes down to the core mechanic of what made me fall in love with this game was just, rolling dice. And then the different dice was a huge thing for me. I just thought that was neat, buying these tubes of different shapes. I've never seen both numbers on it before. So the idea of a dice pool mechanic where you grow your character and then eventually you've just got this awesome handful of attack you're letting go out there. It's really neat. And it looks like you've left it pretty open-ended too. So it's not even where the game is called Helheim Unbound. It's not like you're relegating them to being forced into a Norse sort of game.
That's right. It's purposefully system agnostic.
Nice.
Part of the simple, make it simple divine philosophy is that it makes it easy to adapt it to any system. In our own games, we've got the Saxon Wars, which is the setting we're starting to work on for the game. Cameron, who's the co-designer, has us going through a game that's in kind of a future dystopian setting. And then for those who've looked through the Kickstarter, we've got not only Encounter Roleplay's take on Skyrim, one of the players is now taken off and is GMing a setting in Morrowind.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's a cool setting right there. That's nice, and the idea of system and setting agnostic is just phenomenal. Like Andy and myself have recently taken a look at another game, ICRPG, and right in the book, it straight shows you about 3 or 4 different genres you could just take the ball and run with in this, and I love that about your system as well. But so anything else you want to touch on? I mean, there's quite a bit here in just the little. How many pages is this? 34-page PDF you've already released. I'm assuming there's much more to come with the official core rulebook.
Yeah, so the official core rulebook is at about 64 pages. One of the comments we've had from the Wandering Alchemist is that there's a lot there and it might be a little bit too dense. So we're going to take a look at maybe spreading things out a little bit more. So the page counts will probably go up a little bit.
Cool.
I think give some more examples and ideas. But one of the things we actually wanted was a fairly short core rulebook, because one of the challenges we had with some of the other players in our group is that you look at some other systems where you've got 200 pages for the core rulebook. That's just the player's handbook.
Right.
Then the DM needs to have another thing. We joke about it as you need a PhD in dungeoneering.
Yep.
And so that's one of the things we wanted to try to avoid, is that when you're playing, you maybe need 1 or 2 page handout. after you've read through the book once or twice, and that's it.
Nice.
Cool.
I love that.
It kind of cuts down on the prep time then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, the main reason I found your Kickstarter to start with was that I was just looking to try and find something open-end to do with Mercia, which is Tamworth in the Midlands in England. And it was just popped up and I stumbled across it. And I thought, oh, okay, I like the art. I'm probably not like, well, I'm not a massive rules sort of person. I'm more setting and artwork. So that's what I mean, it kind of popped up at the right time for me for what I'm trying to build in my notebooks at the minute.
Yeah, for sure. And the art you've picked in this is just phenomenal. Do you have a specific artist? Is this a group of people? What have you gone with there?
Nope, it's one artist, Bartolomeo,
Wow.
and we've been working with him on this actually since our early days of the skirmish concept, so about 3 years now.
Cool. Very cool.
It is very European looking, I noticed.
Yep.
More than it just being a high fantasy take on something.
Yeah, and a lot of it's just the consistent look and kind of more of the action adventure feel. Kind of the. You can hear my kids in the background.
Right. No problem. I've got one sitting across the desk from me right now.
The excitement of seeing a cat.
Right.
Is having kind of that consistent, and the feel that I was describing, although it didn't click with a lot of people, was the idea of it being like the sagas.
Right.
The Norse sagas in specific, so that kind of high intensity, high action feel.
Yeah.
Definitely cool. And one more thing, I'm actually looking over the character sheet you've got here in the back of the book, and I am noticing one major divergence from what I'm used to seeing in role-playing games is I don't see a standard set of statistics here. Like, there's no strength, dexterity, constitution, charisma, wisdom, whatever. And that lends to a certain level of uniqueness. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really streamlined, and it was, again, getting with the idea of simplicity. The way that you kind of get at some of those, if you're higher than average or lower than average, is through your champion's traits.
Nice.
But we started with just the premise of everybody's reasonably good at doing things. You know, you're probably not particularly ugly or particularly handsome, unless you want to make your character that way. And when you look at a lot of other attribute or stat systems, there's a lot of dead space.
Oh, yeah.
And so you go maybe on the even numbers, you get something better or something worse. But also the creation process then takes more time because you're trying to figure out, where do I slot these things in, or do I min-max it, or anything else like that. And here it's just what you're trained at or what your skills are is what's most important, and then you're looking at modifiers there.
Sure.
And it just makes it very streamlined.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's great. That's the trick nowadays, is we're getting away from the old days of the Warhammer RPG 6-page folder character sheets. So I really like seeing that.
Yeah, and we found it makes it more immersive.
For sure.
In one of our games, we have a Amazon delivery bot with a rogue AI installed in it.
That's awesome. I recently played in a hack game where I played an android that was literally just a decontamination unit that happened to have a printer interface on the front. It didn't have the ability to speak. So that hits core to home right there. I love that. Instead of talking, I had ticker tape. One thing I'm not seeing here, and this could do you just because this is a preview supplement, or you might want to you might address this, is I'm not seeing a becetary of any kind, like no monster lists or stats or anything like that.
Yeah, we have some examples. That's in the part that's not for the broader release at this point.
Sure.
And part of it, I do have a video up over on our channel that walks through creature creation.
Oh, nice.
And it's pretty simple because at the end of it, you can just boil it down to a handful of dice, and it's just pretty streamlined. So we do have some that are included as examples. Our goal is to ultimately have more up on the webpage.
Oh,
Again,
neat.
trying to keep the core rulebook from being too overwhelming.
Brilliant.
And that way then you can kind of go in and pick based on what your genre is, or just to get ideas.
Well, and you're going to be saving everybody in the long run there as well, because let's just face it. I mean, my 5th edition Monsters Manual is, 300 some pages?
Mm.
So yeah, you'd make this thing into an encyclopedia quick.
Yeah, and with the ultimate idea of having different setting books, then
Right.
those, of course, would have much more extensive bestiaries.
Kind of
So
a
they'd be like more specific to each one.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, excellent. Yeah, like I said, we're going to post a link below to not only the Kickstarter, but now I'm also going to link to your YouTube channel, because yeah, I'm looking here and there's some interesting stuff here. That'll definitely help people trying to get a game rolling in this. And guys, let's help this guy get it funded. It looks like the Kickstarter is rolling over to end here in about 4 days. So let's throw everything we have at it. I'm all about supporting another game that really kind of takes an abstract look at things and is showing us a way to do this wonderful hobby we love so much in a different way, perhaps. So, Nat, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sorry, Andy?
I need a hardback.
Yep, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, thanks, Nat. You enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. Okay. And for everyone still with us, we're going to talk a little bit more about what we intended to do in this podcast. Really, I just kind of wanted to sit down and talk with someone with, from the sound of things, far more experience than me. And that's, unfortunately, as I look at myself growing in age, that's saying something. I've as of 3 days ago, been playing and DMing this wonderful game of Dungeons and Dragons, whatever you want to call it, whatever system we're playing, for 25 years. And I got to say, I still love it as much as I did on day one. So, Andy, what's your experience in role playing? Where did you get started?
Back with Redbox.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's kind of strange over here. Games Workshop in Birmingham, they used to sell all sorts of stuff. It wasn't just like it is now, where it's their product. And that was the only place you could really kind of get in my area any role-playing stuff.
Wow.
So I kind of wandered in there, and there was these funny kind of boxes and stuff. So I think I said before, I picked up the Redbox Traveller, RuneQuest, and the Marvel Superheroes box, but I only really stuck with the D&D. And yeah, I got that home, and then thought, why the hell have I got a crayon?
Right?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
So you get the dice out, and what the hell are these for a start? And then it's like, why have I got a crayon? And where's my board? What do I do? So you kind of think, well, do I eat the crayon? Do I colour the dice in? Because nobody could tell you.
No, it's not in there.
It was just a kid buying a box and then going and finding out how to play it with other kids.
That's exactly it. And in fact, I got the same start. I happened to win a silly sweepstakes we had at a little local kind of event we had, where everyone would kind of go to this main down street area of town, and the little shops that are little privately owned businesses would open themselves up for the evening, and they would have drawings and giveaways and this and that and the other. And one of them was this little teeny tiny corner bookstore. And as a kind of nastiness, my young teenage friends had grabbed handfuls of entry slips and gone off to fill out 200 apiece with their name, kind of ensuring they were going to win some sort of drawing. And as a joke, I filled one out and put it in this drawing bin. Yeah. And at the end of the night, they had a drawing, and I won the big prize, which was a $300 shopping spree at any of these stores you wanted to go to.
Yeah.
And so I walked into that bookstore, and I saw Dungeons and Dragons. It was actually the Castles Forlorn module, and I had no idea that I would need dice or a player's handbook or anything like that. And I just loved the cool picture of an undead Nessie on the cover, and I picked that up, and we took it home and tried to play it. And you can't. There's no way. There's no character sheets. There's no dice. Nada. You're screwed. And yeah, so from there we ended up doing some research and with the owner of the bookstore, and she got us the player's handbooks, the DM's guide. In fact, oh, I don't have it up here anymore, but I've still got that 1993 Dungeon Master's Guide that I bought later that week. It was kind of crazy. An old friend of mine found it in a garage sale. He was him and his wife were putting together a garage sale, and he found an old crate of D&D books. And not only was my DM's guide in there, an old spell list from my 11-year-old friend Jesse was in the cover.
I bet there was some good drawings with that as well.
Oh man, crazy, just crazy stuff. So it's
But
neat.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, once I got that, there was this funny, really old toy shop in Tamworth, and it sold all regular stuff at the bottom, but upstairs was all like model stuff and whatnot. And I went up there one day, and they got a rack on the desk of like the Ralpartha miniatures.
Oh wow.
And I was like, wow, this kind of fits that funny box I bought the other week. And it was like, I mean, you'd buy like a wizard and it was like 100% lead. So if like as a kid you licked it, you'd die.
They were actually lead. They were pewter.
No, 100% pretty much lead.
Yikes.
So you got this lead miniature, and then you thought, well, what do I do with this? And then the only paints you could get were like gloss paints. So they did like little packs of like a couple of skeletons and stuff as well. So like, I mean, my painting skills then, it was like you just dunk the skeleton in the pot,
right?
And pulled it out of a white pot and let it dry and whatnot.
Skeleton done.
Yeah, one and done. It was like, because the actual, there was no detail on the model. You know, they were awful, really.
Yeah.
But we tended to paint them and have them on the table with us, as like you would draw a character.
Neat.
So like you go, well, I want to be a wizard, so I've got this lump of lead that kind of looks like a wizard, I think.
If you squint.
Yeah, or you put it about a mile away.
Right.
And then, so you put that on your table, and that'd be you. It wasn't like a skirmish type game.
No, it was just your representation.
Yeah, it's like, here we go. So yeah, that's kind of, I played that for quite a while, and like I said, until I found arcades, and then misbegotten youth of spending money on Street Fighter 2.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I was blessed in that regard when I discovered the Street Fighter series, because in small town Gila Bend, Arizona, where my family hails from, it's a teeny tiny town. You could walk across the entire town in maybe half an hour, maybe, and they owned the one arcade in town. So they had Street Fighter 1 to start with, and my aunt was super awesome, and she would just unlock the coin cage, and you could just hit the little flicker, and I could die horribly over and over again, because I'm crap at video games. I love every second of them, but man, I'm terrible at them.
Yeah, but Street Fighter was crap though.
It was a crap game to start with, for sure. Yeah. And then when 2 came out, that just blew us away. Blanca, just Blanca for sure, man.
So. Then I went, right, consoles, and I didn't really play many RPGs for a long while. I spent a lot of time with consoles, and then I got back into, when I was about 30, I got back into tabletop wargaming.
Wow.
Like 40k, fantasy, and historical stuff.
Neat.
And then that fizzled off, really, and I kind of got back into role playing as my son got a bit older. With third ed and fourth ed, and then we kind of stopped for a bit. And really, the thing that sort of kickstarted me again, like this year, was just looking on YouTube, because at the moment with my health, I've been housebound, so you kind of just trawl YouTube for hours and hours.
Yeah.
And I came across Jason's channel, and found Basic Fantasy.
Oh man, yeah.
And that just I've spoken to him before, and it's like, it's crazy that you think you can just be trawling through something, and you just connect with somebody's channel, connect with what they're enthusiastic about, and run with it. And yeah, it's just lit a fire under me this year that can be traced straight back to Jason's channel. So you'll probably think, oh, he's getting all soppy, but
No, not at all.
no, it's absolutely true. Credit where credit's due. And then it's led me to meet yourself and Josh and Lee and Marcus and Sam and all these people that are like
Right.
firing off and stimulating me to do other things. It's been fantastic.
Right. And for the listeners that may not be in the know, we are we're blessed and lucky to be part of this Facebook group that our friend Jason has put together, Dark Age of. You'll see him on our on my YouTube channel, where he has pretty much gathered up a whole great big trough of online gamers and weird people and GMs and just decades and decades of gaming experience. And we kind of just bounce things off of each other over and over again until we've beaten the dead horse, so to speak. And out of that has been born several one-shots, a couple of campaigns have kicked off, and of course, basing around the idea of basic fantasy, but not relegated to it. We've had some offshoots. You know, we play some Rad Hack. I found ICRPG based off of that thing, and right now I'm probably going to be throwing myself to the fire on admitting to them all that I want to start DMing primarily 5th edition because they're a bunch of OSR guys, and I'm probably going to get the firing squad for it. But hey,
I'll take a bullet for you. I'll jump in front.
There you go. But yeah, no, we're truly blessed in that we have these amazing gamers and GMs to draw from, because they're a hoot to play with.
And what's really good is everyone's different.
Right.
You know, so you could think, well, but the actual love of what we're involved in is there for everyone. We play different games, do different things, different channels. They all look different. So if you go to, like, you're not going to get like clones of things. You can get so much inspiration from these people. It's amazing.
Oh, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, on that note, Wizards of the Coast set down, I think it was last week actually, we intended to record then, but you know, life happens, that they are coming out with one, if not two new adventures based around Waterdeep. And if you're listening to this, man, you're in the RPG know, and you know Waterdeep is just the idea of a fantasy metropolis with God all knows how big of a dungeon underneath the thing. So I'm super excited for this because I've always used Waterdeep or an iteration of it in my games. Yeah. Because I just think it's super cool.
I mean, it's probably been... These are the two books that have, since 5th has come out, I've looked at other stuff and gone, yeah, I quite like that. These two I'm really excited about. I mean, it's like a city, and like anyone that's probably like recently gamed with me knows that it's hard work getting me out of a town at the best of times. So I'm just going to sit in Waterdeep for like ever.
Yeah, no, we're not leaving. That's it. We're just going to hang out there.
That's my adventure, you know.
I'm stoked. It says
take
here
a long time to get somewhere.
Oh yeah. My most recent Curse of Strahd game that I kicked off, we ended up playing about 12 sessions before. Unfortunately, the group kind of fell apart. But the first session one, we started off in Waterdeep, and I kind of wrote it that we would be maybe half an hour if anyone had forgotten to pick anything up on their characters or something like that. Maybe someone wanted to buy a horse. No, we sat there for 4.5 hours. 4.5 hours dancing from this booth to that vendor to the city guards to who knows. And it's just, I enjoy that part of it. I don't care. I'm more than willing as a GM to sit back and let these guys just play in town.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. I mean, the thing is as well is now my long-term and short-term memory are pretty iffy. So my grasp of rules goes right out the window. So I'm just like, you know, that book looks really nice. I like the cover. I like the art. I like the characters, and I run with that. So yeah, I mean, at the moment, if I can draw up a couple of dungeons a week, I'm as happy as Larry.
Oh, for sure. Well, and I think the whole idea of Undermountain, the dungeon underneath the city, was always intended to be kind of do-it-yourself. Pardon me. Whereas, like, it's so expansive and so big, and there's so many entrances and exits that really they've left it so that we can kind of make our own thing and put it wherever.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really neat.
I mean, the good thing as well, coming back and like going back and finding Jason's channel, is if you think about it now, my son ran a game for me and his girlfriend last week, and it was completely homebrew and everything.
Neat.
But he'd been used to being around it. The great thing now is so much online that can trigger you off and make you think, yeah, I can do that, I can try this, I can whatever. And if I'm not happy with that, there's other things. And that's amazing, because the thing is the more people you can attract to a hobby, the longer that hobby can survive financially.
Oh, absolutely.
And if it doesn't survive financially, then what do you do?
Right.
You just have to, it just dries up and goes. So I think if I was like 15 now, Jesus, man, I'd be like...
Oh, could you imagine if we didn't have bills or jobs or financial stuff to worry about? If I could literally be on summer break right now, I would be running 5 or 6 day a week games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I guarantee it.
It'd be nuts. The stuff you can get your hands on.
Oh,
it's just crazy.
See, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have donjon.bin or any of these awesome repositories of ridiculous information to draw from. We had the books at the bookstore, or we had to make something up.
Yeah. I think you could then probably say, well, there's too much in the sense that it could stifle you, but I don't think that's true. Really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like 1977 was a great year for me.
Yeah.
I went to see Star Wars, obviously, and had a Wookiee ice cream.
Huh.
And then come out and thought, that was ace. But why I thought it was ace is because everything looked like shit. It was dirty. It was real.
Right.
So, yeah, there was that. What else was that? No, it's gone. See what I said about my memory?
It's okay. It'll come back around.
Yeah, my uncle came over from Australia and gave me a copy of the Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh, wow.
That was another thing. And yeah, there was another important one, but I don't know. It'll
Fair
come
enough.
back to me.
Fair
But
enough.
yeah, so your stimulus was there, but the jump from like children's books to adults books, there was nothing in the middle.
Right.
So you kind of read all your kids' books, and then if you wanted to go into fantasy, you had to go into adult fantasy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whereas now there's so much. It's great.
There's so many different levels and layers to it. I mean, I recently saw a post that showed that the Warhammer novels, the 40K stuff, is actually being worked on right now to be released into children's style novels, and that just scares
that's a weird one, isn't it?
That scares the crap out of me. Some of the awful, horrible, dirty, gritty stuff in the grim dark of 40K. Well, I don't know if I want my kids reading that, you know.
Well, this is it. I mean, I'm lucky where I live, because, like I say, Warhammer World is like half an hour from me.
Oh wow!
Wow. Tamworth Castle. I don't live in Tamworth anymore, but Tamworth is where I grew up, and it was the capital of Mercia.
Wow.
And I live in between that and a place called Repton. And Repton is where the great heathen army came through to do battle with the Anglo-Saxons at Mercia. So I'm like sticking. Yeah, so it's great. So yeah, I'm really lucky in that sense.
You're horribly, horribly spoiled. Like me and a couple of the other guys in the Facebook group were joking about, yeah, you've got a castle. We have a Walmart.
Exactly. Well, what I was going to try and do, right, is take a picture of the castle, post it on the group chat, and then put for sale, and see if anybody would actually buy it from me. So I could say, yeah, I've got the deeds to Tamworth Castle if anyone wants it. So, about 100,000 if you want it.
There you go.
PayPal me.
Right. Too cool. So if I'm not mistaken, though, they're going to be releasing 2 books, going back to the Waterdeep thing, right? Because I'm only finding Waterdeep Dragon Heist here.
No, then there's the Undermountain is something of the Mad Mage.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So Waterdeep goes levels 1 to 6, as in the adventure in the book.
Oh, I see that here. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So the adventure in the book takes you from level 1 to 6, and it's also got obviously the setting of Waterdeep.
Right, the city.
But then the Mad Mage one takes you from level 6 up to 20.
I just found it. Yeah, the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, the greatest
That's the
dungeon
one.
of them all. Explore the mega dungeon of Undermountain in this adventure for the world's greatest role-playing game. Too cool.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I mean, I said to my son, because he's running 5th Ed for me now. And as soon as I saw that, I said, you can't buy that book because I'm going to run that. You're not. I said, because I want to do that.
For sure.
Definitely.
Oh, neat. Yeah, that is super cool. Well, right on, man. I think that just because of time constraints, we might just have to call it a close for now, right there. Guys, thank you so much for listening. For now, we've got an email set up at tefstavern@gmail.com. Any questions, comments, if you want to throw rotten vegetables at us, that's a good place for it. And we're going to try to see if we can do this as often as possible. So with any luck, you'll see us up on the podcast feeds soon again. So thanks for downloading and thanks for watching. Andy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a good day.